Nice to have your company. It's Ed Phillips with you for this Thursday afternoon. We all know life's pretty busy, no matter how much we love rolling into bed each night. How many of us, hands up, can admit to robbing ourselves of valuable hours of sleep? My hand is up. I've got both hands up. The problem comes when we wake up the next day a little bit drained of energy. And if you're low on energy, it's all too easy then to binge on food throughout the day and try and compensate. Maybe we don't even know we're doing it. It might be doing just as much harm missing sleep in the first place. We better discuss this. Dr. Jenny Brockis is on the line with us, a medical practitioner and a healthy brain advocate as well. That's nice to have on the business card, Jenny. Welcome to you.
Thanks so much.
A healthy brain advocate. I love it. So what is this cycle like? If we rob ourselves of sleep, why are we waking up so hungry?
Well, the body's basically seeking fuel because when we feel tired, we're looking to sort of find that energy source from somewhere. The trouble is, we think it's because we've burnt up too much fuel already, but the reality is that missing out on sleep has triggered various changes in our body and our brain, leading to different chemicals being released that actually drive us to seek more food. We feel hungrier, but not only that, we get the afternoon munchies much worse, and we seek out those salty, sugary, fatty foods that we know aren't terribly good for us.
Oh, curse our brains, Doctor.
Yeah,
Curse
I know. They're getting in the way of so much sometimes, don't they?
Okay, so this is a conundrum for us. What happens to our body then if we overeat the next day?
Well, the trouble is we tend to overeat, and of course we're not expending that fuel, and it's very easy to have an extra snack, just that extra sort of milky coffee and a muffin mid-afternoon, which gives us sort of 400 or 500 extra calories that we only actually need maybe a fifth of that just from the extra time we've spent awake. So we're accumulating more energy in than we're expending, and the trouble is the pounds or the kilos start to accumulate quite quickly.
Oh, and then of course we're too tired to go and exercise later in the day,
exactly.
right?
We fall into this sort of downward spiral where it just gets worse and worse, and it can be so easily triggered by simply not getting enough sleep at night. And I think what you said at the beginning, that we're all sort of semi-sleep deprived these days. So many people don't get good quality sleep anymore, or deprive themselves of sleep because they've got so much to do. And we're setting ourselves up to, unfortunately, stack on the weight as a consequence and not feel so good.
It's a double dip of terror, isn't it? We miss out on sleep, we wake up cranky, and then we feel tired by the end of the day and overeat. And how are we just realising this? Is it a subconscious thing we're doing, or people are suddenly wondering, why have I put on 5 kilos?
Well, I think sometimes we do start to question, how come I'm stacking on the weight? Because, I'm trying to mind what I eat, and I'm trying to do the exercise, and yet the weight is creeping on. And I think we overlook the fact that sleep deprivation can be a contributing factor. So, especially as it drives us to get hungrier, and it's very hard to overcome that innate drive. I'm hungry, therefore I need to eat. So dealing with the sleep, I think the chance we can give ourselves to help overcome this problem is to go for the extra 20 minutes every night and just see what difference that makes to how much energy we actually experience the following day, and whether it makes us actually not want to have that extra food, especially in the afternoon.
All right, so we also need to put a bit more scientific practices into place for our sleep, don't we? We've spoken on this show before about not eating too close to when you go to bed. Is that still valid in your eyes?
Yes, it is, because obviously if you're eating a fairly big meal and then you lie down and go to sleep, all that lovely digestion is releasing all the nutrients, but you're not necessarily going to be using it. So your body's very efficient at putting all the excess down into sort of fat storage and things like that. So, yes, it's probably better to eat earlier in the evening and give your body a chance to sort of work through what it needs to do with that fuel before we go off to sleep.
Well, this might be a double-edged sword. If you've got time, do you advocate maybe a little bit of exercise before bed, a light walk or something, rather than screen time and TV time, a relaxing walk around the block even?
I think a relaxing walk is okay. You have to be a little bit careful with doing too much exercise too close to bedtime, because that can actually interfere with us getting off to sleep. But if it's just, just very light, just a stretch, as you say, or a stroll around the local park with the dog late at night, I don't think that's a problem at all, and far better, as you say, than staying on the couch watching that last episode of the Netflix series we've been getting into.
Absolutely. We can't snip the candle at both ends, so we've got the doctor's authority to go to bed a bit earlier. Should we be just as particular in our approach to breakfast as well?
I'm still of the belief that eating breakfast is a good way to start your day because it sort of fuels up the body and gets us ready to sort of work better during the day. But I know a lot of people can't face food first time, and I think it's what works best for you. If you're one of those people that just really can't stomach the idea of food too early on, as long as you're having something to eat within an hour and a half or 2 hours of getting up, I think that's perfectly reasonable. But they call it the breaking of the fast because obviously we've been fasting all night long, and then that's the ideal time to sort of prime your body and your brain for its best work for the rest of the day.
All right, I'm intrigued here for your medical opinion. Coffee. God, it's so good in the morning. It's good all day long, to be honest. Is it one of the worst things we could probably do to ourselves, or how does it set up our day and our routine across the day in fighting this cycle of sleep and nutrition?
I'm going to be very careful what I say here because there are going to be some people who might get upset if I say something they don't like. Coffee is widely consumed and it's a stimulant, and it obviously increases our level of alertness, which is not a bad thing in itself. And coffee per se is not bad. It's just how much coffee we consume over the day that matters because, too much of anything is not good for us. And it's recommended that, as long as we stick to about 300 to 400 milligrams of caffeine in our coffee per day, that's fine. So that's depending on the strength of coffee you have, about 3 to 4 cups.
Oh, really? Okay, so what do we get in one shot of coffee from the latte man? What's that? 100 milligrams.
Depending on the strength and the grind and everything like that, you might be getting 90 to 100 plus. So I think we can stop feeling guilty about the caffeine as long as we're sort of not having 10 cups per day. Especially as we know it's got such a prolonged half-life, and the coffee we have, that we have in the afternoon, half of it is going to be in our system 6 hours later. So if you're sensitive to caffeine and know that it interferes with your ability to go to sleep, then you're better off drinking your coffee in the morning.
Okay, and that goes the same for tea as well. It's got pretty much the same amount of caffeine.
You've got caffeine in tea, and especially to remember that it's in green tea, because people often think, oh, that's good for you, and it is, but it is still a tea, and it still has quite a high caffeine intake.
All right. Now, when's the best time to get our sleep? Do you think it's better to go earlier, or what do you think about hitting the old snooze button when the alarm does go and trying to get a little bit of crammed in sleep in the morning?
Well, if you're hitting the snooze button, that's probably an indication that you're slightly sleep deprived. It depends how much sleep you recognise you actually need, because the general advice is that most of us need between 7 to 8 hours, but we know too that many of us are getting far less than that. We're probably closer to 6. Ideally, it's going to bed a little bit earlier. That's the ideal, and sticking with the sort of same get-up time.
Okay.
So that's like the best way to go. So turn off the telly that little bit earlier, or turn off the laptop, and choose to go to bed.
What do you reckon about sneaking in a little power nap as well? Would that help us?
I love power naps.
Yeah, a little kippy.
Yeah, they're great. I think if you know that you're not getting good quality sleep at night because you've got lots of interruptions, maybe you've got young kids, or maybe you've got a partner who snores, all those sort of things. If you know that you are a bit tired, then having a brief power nap of 10 to 20 minutes in the early afternoon is ideal, because again, it's been shown to be a really good brain refresher.
Got it. Hey, look, if you're napping, you're not eating. So we've broken that cycle. That's what I'm thinking.
That's very true.
Thank you, Doc. Lovely to chat.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Dr. Jenny Brockis there, medical practitioner and healthy brain advocate as well.